Oh, this is gonna be something else, boys. This is gonna be amazing. This is Set's oldest video, a Morrowind review. At a time when YouTube only supported up to 720p. Can you imagine that? This is gonna be wild.
Hey people, Seth here. Today, I'll be reviewing the Elder Scrolls free Morrowind. It's been years since the Outlanders came in and conquered our lands. Every day since, I've been persecuted for my superior beliefs and culture. If it weren't for the Imperial scum, I'd be happily eating salt rice and kwama eggs for breakfast every day and dying of blight by the ripe old age of 30. Only you
That sounds about true, by the way.
You can comfort me in these troubling times. From an uneducated glance, Morrowind might look like your typical open-world sandbox RPG of the early 2000s.
But
However,
it's not.
first appearances are deceiving. Morrowind is actually an RPG about reincarnating yourself to overthrow an order of free gods worshipped collectively as the tribunal because they betrayed you in your past life in order.
You know what's the best part? Usually Sid comes up with all these crazy ideas how to explain the plot, but we're talking about Morrowind, so he probably doesn't have to come up with anything. He just needs to literally lay down the plot, what's happening and why it's happening, and it's gonna sound crazy, unbelievable, and made up to begin with.
Order to abandon their mortality, with one of them, Vivek, impaling you through the chest with his gigantic penis sword. Meanwhile, another man betrayed by the
Accurate.
tribunal has lived on past death, driven mad with divinity, and also has a piece of pottery permanently stuck to his head. Inside a steamy volcano mountain, he plots to overrun the continent by influencing the dreams of bitter, dark elf nationalists unhappy with the state of political affairs, turning their dreams into
Perfectly accurate, wouldn't you say, Nerevar?
reality as their face cavity collapses, grows a mouth proboscis, and eventually
Oh,
blooms into a full
no.
set of eyes and tentacles, ascending as a hunchbacked cephalopod hellbent on genociding all other races off the face of Morrowind and restoring their native homeland to its former glory. You, however, know nothing about this, or the Nerevarine prophecy you will one day fulfill. You're just a prisoner on a boat left to rot. Instead, you've been
True.
granted pardon for your crimes by order of the Imperial Emperor. In exchange, you'll be working with the Imperial Intelligence under Caius Casadus, an Imperial agent who, over the course of the story, is dishonorably dismissed from his post because he can't contain his crippling crack cocaine addiction. This might sound like a lot to swallow, but when you consider that a person swallows on average 5 clockwork spiders each year in their sleep, this doesn't.
That's a lie, but I have swallowed a spider, and I'm not gonna lie, I did not want to sleep for 2 days after that because that experience was kind of scary. You know, you have, because it tries to stay in your throat. It's insane. Oh, never again.
Doesn't seem so bad. Aside from the main story, the lore and background of the Elder Scrolls universe is thoroughly explained, documented, and communicated to you throughout
Makes
the course of
sense.
your play. Most of the lore for Morrowind was written in a single week, while the main author went on a sleepless amphetamine binge, surprising absolutely nobody.
Yep.
And that's where it shines
Accurate.
best. Morrowind is the most authentic alien setting ever put in games, and second only maybe to Planescape Torment. When everything is so bizarre, nothing is bizarre. Everything put in front of you is so genuine and sincere, you never question it. So maybe the best showcase of a game and the best way to communicate why it's so amazing is just telling about all the crazy shit I encountered. Like, let's start
Yeah.
with the main diet of Dark Elves. Eggs. Really fucking big eggs, which are laid by gigantic kwama queens under the earth. Sometimes people steal eggs from the mine. They're killed on the spot without trial, since food is precious in this region. If a kwama queen dies, the
True.
hive fails, and the local villages depending on them undergo a famine. There's technologically advanced dwarven ruins everywhere, complete with clockwork spiders, mechas, and Jewish ghosts, which keep reminding you about the 6 million, but no trace of the dwarves themselves. Why? Because they built God. And since building God is a pretty big endeavor, it's anybody's
True.
guess where they went, either to a completely different realm or instantly vanished from existence. There's a temple in the game with an imprisoned Daedra, bound to a religious relic. He's completely chill, calm, domesticated, unless you provoke him, of course. If you keep taunting him, he finally snaps and says, "After I kill you, I will rape your corpse. Don't worry, I'll be gentle."
Yeah, that's something a Daedra would say without any problems, honestly. Like, let's be real. This is from a time in the dialogue writing was a little bit different, you know? And yeah, crack cocaine wasn't exactly, you know, not on the menu.
There's one wizard in the game who cloned female copies of himself to have his own daughters, which also
Smart.
act as his wives and concubines. And if you don't think that's the hottest
Smart.
shit ever, get the fuck out. Morrowind is my fetish buffet.
True.
Case in point, there's a quest where you're tasked with escorting an Argonian slave back from the docks to her master in another city.
Is he gonna mention the lusty Argonian maid in this? Oh, heavens become.
Immediately upon delivery, the owner and his guards murder and rip open her stomach on the spot, because it turns out you've just been an accomplice for a local drug cartel, helping them bring a body packer whose stomach was filled to the brim with sweet cocaine. There's always politics and intrigue between
Good
the great
stuff.
houses of Morrowind, Hlaalu, Radorn, and Telvanni, while legally the Empire occupying Morrowind doesn't permit slavery. They can't really stop the Telvanni, since they're incredibly powerful and omnipotent Ancap wizards, and they don't like guests. That's why there's no stairs in Telvanni wizard towers. If you can't levitate like a normal person, you're fucked out of luck. Do you know how you get
True.
promoted in Telvanni society? You kill your rivals and assume their position. The court of law there automatically presupposes that if an argument was had and you successfully murder the opposing party, then your argument must have had more weight than your enemy. In fact,
I mean, that's
you can hover
true.
up to a Telvanni tower at any point, murder the resident mage and his servants, and you won't be punished for it. It was their fault for having low security anyway. Besides, one of the servants sprayed blood all over my chest, clearly violating my NAP. With enough time, sweat, and cum invested into a faction, you can climb through the ranks up to the point where you can build and
Wow.
own your own fortress. Of course, the Telvanni just grow their fucking forts out of the ground. But first, you will need the approval of bureaucrats determined to kill you off or make your life living hell before they grant their sponsorship. Except one. Crassius Curio, counselor of House Hlaalu, gives his endorsement for nothing more than a kiss on the cheek. Because he's a fag, he's even offered some of the books you can read in the game.
This video is not getting monetized, huh?
Most of them banned from the public eye for being the equivalent of erotic fan fiction. One of the most famous and sauciest of these is The Real Life of Queen Baranzaya, where Crassius raunchily asserts that the first queen of Morrowind took fat Khajiit dick, and, bemusingly, complained how painful barbed cat penises were to insert. There's even an in-game explanation for why your character, the Nerevarine, can save and load the game, since we the player can influence the metaphysical force known as Chim in the Elder Scrolls universe, whereby we can live through different timelines and outcomes in parallel. It's for this reason that Vivek, who has reached understanding of Chim, never agrees to fight the player, since no matter how strong or powerful he is, he knows that you can assault him an infinite amount of times, and eventually succeed.
Smart.
But when you're done perusing the story, how is the actual game? Absolutely fucking broken. It's stable 90% of 50% of the time. It's functional, but the combat system is insane. Forget any notion of fair play or balance. If you can exploit something,
no.
you should, because the alternative is getting tapped by a bandit carrying
He's gonna show alchemy.
an enchanted twig that paralyzes you for 10 seconds straight per strike. My first experience of combat was quite traumatic. I attacked a tiny scrib creature, thinking it's impossible to lose against something so shitty. Instead, it paralyzed me in place, and proceeded to slowly nibble me to death, while renewing the paralysis whenever it got close to wearing off. Bravo, Todd. The game mechanics are bullshit. Either you adapt to it and bask in its ridiculous glory and enjoy yourself, or you refuse to learn, die horribly, and write angry complaints about it on a Korean basket weaving forum. For example, potions and their effects in this game stack. So let's say I used alchemy to make 200 potions of intelligence. I could simultaneously chug all 200 potions of intelligence and gain infinite knowledge for a few seconds, during which time I'd quickly tab back into my inventory and use alchemy, which scales off intelligence, to craft several thousand restore fatigue potions using bread and rice in a single nanosecond, which would be so amazingly extremely powerful and potent that their individual market price would be enough to completely buy out the entire store catalog of most merchants. And if in the off chance I chose to use them instead, I would have a permanently full bar of stamina for the next few years of my physical life. In a similar manner, I could do this with other effects, such as Fortify Strength, whereby I can smash the final antagonist of a game with a weapon so hard that he and the weapon would cease to exist. But if you just happen to find your friend's Morrowind game open and want to run a funny prank on him for sleeping with a family dog, you can make a potion of paralysis using the same method. From the moment you drink that potion, your character will be paralyzed for about 3 hours. When he comes back and asks why his character can't move, laugh, and ask him why the dog keeps crying at night. You can use this time to explain to him why bestiality is immoral and illegal in most countries, and how the doctor said your dog's orifice will never fully heal. The game's design offers you a lot of freedom to mess around with. The custom spell making in particular can be abused to make some disgusting spells, such as the ability to camouflage yourself perfectly, 100% for 1 millisecond, and steal something right in front of a merchant. But just because they couldn't see you physically taking the object, they can't establish causality between the events happening around them. It's a great game. The environment and atmosphere really capture a very alien landscape and culture, while the dialogue and text keep you occupied for hours on end. Gameplay aside,
that's true, probably.
Early 2000s slave trade RPG. And when you get tired of running around, doing errands and reading shit, you can always download mods or make your own with a construction set and reduce the quality of your experience. A warm thank you to the many members of a Fallen Merchants Guild. Graciously.
How is this gonna get monetized? That's absolutely insanity. Yeah, it's probably not happening. Oh no, this ain't good, Chief. This ain't good. Anyway, like, subscribe, comment down below. You know what this is. This is set, obviously. Oh yeah, good times.